It is taking. Okay. It says we're live. Hello, everyone. Look at my new setup. Look at my new setup. This is my husband's music studio, and he set me up. So hopefully you can hear me. If you can't, just let me know. I don't know how to fix it, but
I
you
can hear
can
you
tell me.
perfectly now.
Okay.
You look so legit. I love
I
it.
know. Like the light behind me is like colored too, so I'm like,
Oh,
I kind of have been wanting to use it for a while. He just finished it about like right after you came to visit.
that's
But
nice. So we
I
won't have to hear Kazi's beautiful voice while we're talking. Maybe
I
we
don't know. I don't know if he'll let me do this permanently, but he set me up tonight.
start today anyway. I love it. Hello, friends.
Hi everyone. I'm so happy y'all could make it. Fancy, huh, Stacy? Yeah. I am very excited to have Rake Appreciation Society,
Me too.
and I have the book. I have a physical copy. Sweet. It's
You know
so
the
pretty.
the one that I bought when I was with you is the
Yeah.
second one.
Is it?
And that one is
Oh,
Ned's book.
I know. I'm
I
like, I want to
immediately
read his
finished it
book.
because that one's a estranged husband and wife, and I'm like, I'm gonna read it immediately because
Yeah.
I want to read about Ned. I loved my precious little Ned. He made my heart hurt.
Yeah.
So
I know. I
yeah.
know. Well, let's take 5 minutes and just talk about what we're reading right now.
Okay.
And then we'll see if anybody else
Yeah.
joins us.
People sometimes.
So you can go first, Jen, if you want.
Yeah. Well, I just finished Wed to a Wild God by Ruby Dixon, which I didn't read the other two books in the series, but there was a list someone put out that this book had pegging in it. And I do have to say, the pegging was in the epilogue, so I feel a little gypped that I had to read so much of this book. So it's kind of boring. Like Ruby Dixon either writes 200 pages or less, or writes 100. Like this book was 460 pages.
Is that one in the Bound to the Battle God series? Is that
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have that first one. I want to read it so bad, but I haven't
yeah.
yet.
And like, but Bound to the Battle Gods is like 640
Yeah.
pages.
That's why I haven't read it yet.
Right. Because I just grabbed it, and it did make me interested for the first two, but I've heard how like boring some parts are. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, so I just finished that, and I think I might squeeze in one more book tonight, and I have the early release of The Kraken's Sacrifice by Katie Robert.
That cover is gorgeous.
I know, and it's supposed to be a grumpy sunshine, and also he's like a widower Kraken, like he like lost his mate.
What?
I'm
That
like,
sounds very fun.
I know. I was like, I want just the like happy Katie Robert. I didn't love the Dragon's Bride, but this one I think I might like more. So that's what I'm going to squeeze in tonight. That's what's happening.
Jessen, how come I haven't gotten any messages about Kingdom of Ash? Can you fix that, please? I want to know.
Oh yeah, she binged like 3 of them.
I barely got a blip in her messages about that. She was talking about other things, but
yeah, I made her talk to me about it because I like read Empire Storms with her, and then she was like, "I'm gonna keep going," and I was like, "You go ahead, you need to finish." But then she got stuck halfway in the middle. Miles, I love it.
Raven Song. I still need to finish. I think I still have the last one, and is that Brother Song? The last one is Brother Song. I need to read.
Mm-hmm. It is.
So once again, I just barely finished this like an hour ago.
Yeah.
But the physical book that I've been reading that I am going to finish, probably not tonight, but in the next few days, is Heartbreaker by Sarah McLean.
Yeah.
I'm really, really loving this one. I'm liking this one. At this point, I'm just over halfway through, and I'm liking it better than Bombshell.
Bombshell. Nice.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, I'm also in the middle of the Duke one. Much Ado About Dukes. The Eva Devon.
Oh, the Eva Devon one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I still have 3 arcs to read this month, and I'm just need to be done with them.
And you know, have you read The Do-Over? I haven't read that one either.
No. I will get to that one. That one will have to be after, because that one comes out on the 30th. The Eva Devon and Love on the Brain both come out on the 23rd, so I need to.
are so many historicals coming out on the 23rd. That's when Beverly Jenkins, Sarah McLean's, the Eva Devon, and there's Emily Sullivan. And I think
Oh
there's
yes, yep,
I have an arc for all 4 of those, and
yeah.
they're definitely not all getting done on time, but we're gonna do for sure
We
the Sarah
never check the
McLean.
dates of those when we ask for them because usually they're so far out.
Yeah.
Like on my NetGalley, I was down to only like 2 books, so I did ask for a bunch. And luckily, most of them are spread out.
Mhm.
But I realized all of a sudden that I have a bunch in August. And I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's okay. I didn't get every one that I asked for. Yes, Cardinal. Shit, I need to read that one too. I didn't get an arc for that one, so I can take my time. It's fine.
I need to get back into the original series and finish that.
Great series.
All right, shall we talk about this book now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this book.
Okay. Everybody, give us your star rating in the comments if you read it with us, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I saw your Goodreads review.
Yeah, you saw mine already. You shouldn't peek. I don't peek to see what you put.
Girl, I didn't peek. It just popped up.
Uh-huh. No, I'm just teasing. It's okay. I always like want to wait, but I don't like to wait or I forget to rate stuff. So I do it. When I finish a book, I immediately rate and put it in my thing. Otherwise I forget. But
well, and like the thing that bugs me is if I always wait to rate things for my like vlogs, and then when I go back to do it, it puts them in a different order than how I read it, and that bothers me. But all right, I see some ratings.
I knew Lexi didn't like it. I know. Yeah.
I think this is going to be a good one to talk about.
I thought that too. It reminds me of when we read Sherry Thomas. I think
yeah,
for sure. Of Sherry Thomas. Because I know this couldn't have been enjoyable for some people. But I saw some 5 stars on the Goodreads, so it made me feel good. But
okay, tell us what you rated it, Jen.
Yeah, I gave this 5 stars. And it's funny because it was at a 3-star for a good chunk, and then it was at a 4, and then it was a 3 again, and then the last 25 pages it went to a 5-star. And I was like, I'm done. Like, I was like, Courtney Milan. I mean, I'm used to her. Like, this is my 5th book of hers I've read. So I'm used to the angst level. Besides the Virgin Duke one, like that one's special because that was light and fluffy. But all her other books are full of angst and like they hurt. But with this one, it's my least favorite trope. Y'all know I despise Mr. Trope, and I didn't even know that when we picked it. I was like, let's do her first book, yay! And then I was like, oh no, it's Mr. Trope. But I've read Mr. Trope by Courtney Milan before and like that. And for me, I was going into like, the very end of this, and I'm like, all right, this is probably going to hit at a 3.5 because there's no way that he could. There's not enough time for him to grovel. There's not enough time for this to feel like a satisfying ending. And then he went to the school, and he had his come to Jesus moment, and he bought her an elephant. He bought her an elephant. I'm done. Like, he bought her an elephant. An elephant was the lesson, and he bought her an elephant. I'm done. He took everything that she'd been saying, and he was like, oh my God, this is what she's been saying. And I've just been like, you're being silly. Let me do this for you. And he clicked. And he fixed it. For me, he fixed it. And I was done. And I literally sobbed from the point that she put the 16 pounds in. I sobbed from that point until the end of this book. And I was driving while that was happening. Literally, I was like trying to drive. And like tears coming down. I'm like, oh my God, I can't drive. Oh my God. I bawled for the whole last end of it. So sorry. This was perfection to me. And like the angst hurt so much. But it was also so like the way that this was. I'm sorry, I'm literally going on an entire spiel instead of just saying
go right ahead.
Feelings. Like the way that she had fought for 12 years to not be someone's mistress. Everything she'd done. She'd put on this whole thing. She'd become this person. She'd been doing what she needed to do to take care of herself. And then this person comes in to reveal her. And it isn't him who reveals her. She reveals herself. She gives, because no matter what he was doing, like, she's the one who revealed herself. And she made those decisions. And he thinks he's coming in to save her. And she's like, you honestly don't understand that I fought for 11 years to not be this. And you've ruined it, which is fine. Like you've ruined it. And then you're asking me to be your mistress and just be at your beck and call when I don't know. And he was so frustrating. I was like, this hero is not swoony. I don't like, he's so frustrating. He just wants to have her in the perfect box. But like, she fixes his family relationships. Well, she doesn't fix them. She opens his eyes to what he's doing, and to not like continue with another generation of pain and like separation. And she just, I don't know. It was amazing. Like, it hurt me so much. But, like, the payoff, even in the epilogue, when he like smiles in front of everyone, like he smiles in front of everyone. When he wouldn't smile like at all, he just doesn't care if anyone sees that he's a softie. He smiles for her, and she did that. Like, this author did that. So anyway, sorry.
You're good.
I loved it.
Okay, so what do you think I rated it?
I have no idea, but I feel like it was angsty and great. So if you gave this like a 2-star, I don't know if we can keep doing that.
So similar to you, and Whitley said this too, like my rating, it was at a 3 for a really long time.
Yeah.
Because I technically I think this is a very well done debut novel. Like I feel like her writing is just so superb. It's both tight and beautiful, and I think that she is really good at using her words with care. Like she doesn't overdo it, and she's so good at getting you to feel like despair and darkness. I feel like a lot of this book was very heavy to read, but then as we got to, so the part that made it, I gave it 5 stars. Okay.
Oh, good.
I gave it 5 stars.
I was like, this has to be, there's so much that you love in this book. I was going to feel really like confused. Keep going.
The thing that tipped it from a 4 to a 5-star for me wasn't the elephant, though. It was the incident with the teacher, because in that moment, that's when he sees her. That's when he like sees all the things about her, when he's like, Jenny saw this about this person, and Jenny saw this about, like that realization moment for him, I felt like was so powerful, and the way that like moved him to just kind of do the mafia hero thing and threaten the teacher. Like I really, really loved that. Threw the papers in there. Like that was the thing that clinched it for me. I loved it. I think that this has such a really brief but very powerful hero transformation moment, and that's what starts it right there. And so much of the book, he's such a jerk, which I've only read 3 of her books. This is the 3rd book of hers, and the other 2 that I read both had very sweet heroes, so this was much different. And I was like, I don't like him at all. Like for most of the book, I didn't like him. He was like terrible, but that moment, I just loved it. So I gave it 5 stars, and I was surprised because I was
I know. Well, I mean, Justin finished it before. I hope he pops in. I hope he shows up. Yeah. But he said in our group, he said that like it wasn't as like romancy as other ones we've done, but that it was still really good. And that's true. I don't feel like this one is as romancy, even as like some of her like future ones she'll do. But I think the thing for me that even when I was sitting at like the 3.5, I was like, this is a really interesting plot. And I think this is very complex and well structured. Like so much of it, as things are revealed about her, I don't know, it was just done so well. And for this to be a debut book, she wasn't heavy-handed with her reveals. They were so subtle, like, because she even calls herself kind of a, like, she knows she's a fraud. She knows that. She's like, feels okay with taking things from the aristocracy because they've taken things from her, and she doesn't feel bad about that. She's doing what she has to do to survive, and she knows that it's a game that she's playing, and so I was like, wow, is this book a book about like an anti-heroine? Is that what this is? Is this an anti-heroine? Which Courtney Milan, one of her other books has a definite like anti-heroine too, and how it's revealed and how you start to get like empathy for her, I think is done so well, because like she, even though what she's doing is fraud, like isn't she offering something good? Like she's making people feel better, even if she's like fibbing to them or making pretty things. Like she did save Ned's life. Like she saved him by telling him he could be more. And I'm gonna cry again. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry so much for this one. Like when she goes to like, when Gareth realizes, he's like, why did I stop her from this? Like I'm gonna lose my cousin because I had to like win. And like he's starting to feel like panic because he's like, I don't know what to do. And he's like desperate for her to help, and like she literally puts up everything to rescue Ned because she loves Ned. Like she loves him. And he's just like he's depressed, so like he does have some mental stuff going on, but he also is like a spoiled little prince who needed some attention, who needed someone to love him, right? But he, at the end of the day, she's like, you literally have everything that I could want, and you are wasting it like this. But she still does it. Like she still puts everything up to show him. And I don't know. It was so powerful. So I was even going to then, like, when I was listening to that part, I was like, you know what, Gareth, he's still missing, but I'm going to give this 4 stars because I love Ned. Like, that's how I was thinking at that point, you know? And then, yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, Gareth was never going to be at my top, like, heroes, but it did have the most believable, quick turn for me. Like, any other story, any other author who did this, I would have been like, I don't believe his turn. I don't believe it. But it's because he's been collecting this evidence. He's just been ignoring it. He's been collecting this evidence. So when he goes face to face with this bitch who's been cataloging these tiny grievances against her and is willing to have her like put in prison or hanged for them, he's like, who is this? Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? And so I believed it. I believed it when he threw this stuff in the fire and he's like, I got to do something.
I totally did too.
Anyway.
Yeah. Let's go through some of the comments. We have a lot of them. The elephant took it down for me.
Oh, see, but doesn't he get it from like a zoo and they're going to take it back to Africa? It's believable to me he could get one, but it's fine if that is unbelievable for people. But I'm pretty sure it's because it's going to get released back into the wilds is how he gets it. Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, that's true.
But doesn't he say he wants a family? It just can't be legitimate. Like he admits that. That's not nice. It's not great, but he wants a kid that he can love and not have to train for being a Marquis. Like he wants a kid.
I feel like something that this book, and I think Courtney Milan in general does really well, is she makes it feels very realistic. So it's not a fairy tale happily ever after, you know, like there's so much about this book is really laying it all out there, how difficult it was for women at the time, you know. And that felt really dark and heavy. And I feel like in a lot of other books that have a typical like blue stocking element to it, it's almost made to feel very lighthearted and like we're champions, we're gonna go and this, I love how it just felt so gritty and real. But I can also see how that would be off-putting to a lot of readers because it's not
comfy.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
Not comfy. Well, it's what two things on that. One, Courtney Milan, that's a theme throughout like most of hers. Like the 5 that I've read, even the most lighthearted one, like The Duke Who Did It, very lighthearted so far. But like Chloe, like her and her father, like barely scraping by with it. But that's still a very light book. The way that like just like the plight of women is shown from the level of, you know, someone says it with the sister who, you know, she's in society, and the way it is for Jenny, and like it's raw, it's put out there raw, that the only way she's been able to be independent is by putting on a disguise and tricking people. Otherwise no one would want her skills as like a single woman who's aging. Like no one would want her skills at all. And she has nothing, and a man is able to take it away. And specifically even this, like the banker who's pissed is able to just take it away from her.
Yep.
Not even mentioning Gareth. Like, even if Gareth wasn't a part of this, like, just be taken away. So yeah, I know.
Ned, I feel like for
Ned.
most of the book, he was my favorite, like all
Oh.
of the book, really. I just love Ned. I can't wait to read his book. I definitely want to.
I know.
He was just so easy to love and sympathize with. Like, he was just a fantastic character.
Absolutely, because at one aspect he could be seen as just a spoiled brat, but I don't know. I loved that he had, well, I didn't love it, but like I love that he had depression, and we were seeing someone who, he's the heir to this, and he has like everything ahead of him, and he's still depressed because he sees that it's empty. You know? Oh,
yeah, for sure. Okay, this was the one that you were, sorry, I'm moving through them too fast. This was the comment you were talking about. Yes.
Okay.
The conversation Jenny had with the sister about abuse and not to always rely on men. They're not always going to be there to save her, that she has her own power. Yeah. And I also felt like the job that they gave her seems like, it seems far-fetched to us right now, but at the time that was probably the only it was probably the only option she had. It was to lie or to, sell her body to, because she couldn't have been a governess, so it was.
Yeah, they don't bring that up again, but I kind of wonder if, we'll see when we read Ned's book. Maybe Courtney Milan is just like, they're not going to have kids, we're not talking about it, like, whatever. But maybe some of that had to do with he was so sure that everything had to be stern. I don't know, because is he then still planning to pass it to Ned? Is that the plan? We'll see. I'm going to read the next book very soon, so we'll see what happens there. But
yeah, I could definitely see how this would be disappointing. I think that, The Duke Who Didn't is probably the favorite one of hers that I've read, and it is very lighthearted, but also not. I love the Cinnamon Roll Hero. I love everything about that. The other book of hers I read, I can't even remember the title. It's the very popular one. But I had a... What?
Did you read the one?
No, it's like The Governess Affair, or...
Okay. Because I was like, remember. if you'd read that trilogy, those would be like, you'd love those a lot. You have to read those.
I can't remember what. Oh, The Duchess War. It's the first book in that. So that book, to me, coming from The Duke Who Didn't to that book was kind of shocking, because that book is so gritty and dark, and it has a lot of the elements that this book had too, where it takes a long time for the story. The story moves very, very slowly, and so does the romance, I feel like, and the characters. Everything is unraveled very, very slowly and built at the same time. So I can see how this would, but also I do feel like, because I knew this was her first book, I was sort of prepared going into this to be disappointed. Like, I just kept telling myself, first books are usually disappointing, especially if you've read some of their newer stuff.
Right.
And I really wasn't. I wasn't, but I could see how
Unclaimed. Unclaimed is the one I want you to read.
Unclaimed.
That's the one with the mistress.
Oh yes, I do. Hero. Yeah, I definitely want to read that one. I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah.
Hi, Candace.
But from The Duke Who Didn't, that would be an extreme tonal shift in everything. And this one to me was like kind of in the middle, because there was like some pretty like funny aspects still to this, and some like hijinks that gets messed up. Mm-hmm. But it, for the most part, was like pretty dark, and like it hurt a lot. And he's very much like, his mind is set on like one thing the whole time. And it's tough, man. He keeps getting it wrong so many times, and she's just kind of exasperated because she has feelings for him, but he's so certain that he's going to keep her in this box.
Yeah.
He's so going to keep her there. And that's where I was like, this is painful, It was hurting, man. It was hurt. I don't like this level of angst. I don't like this level of angst, but it was so fascinating at the same time. Like it kept me having like each new I was like, what's happening next? What's happening next? Because it was just so the characters were so rich like right away. And yeah, I don't know. It was yeah. I keep
I sorry, go ahead. I do think that I mean, and like I love doing this, right? I love reading an author's debut book because and then comparing it with their later stuff. And I feel like some of the things that she had such a firm grasp on early on are so impressive to me. And one of them is how she had her characters built. They arrive on page like fully fleshed out. They're complex. They have a lot of layers. They have motivations, and you may not like them. Like right from the get go, I didn't like Gareth. Like for a long time,
yeah,
an a-hole hero is really hard for me to get behind. Like I just don't
yeah,
love them, and I was like, I don't like him. I don't like
yeah,
him at all. But I was still like invested in the overall story because I felt sympathetic with Jenny because I felt like she
yeah,
had like so many layers to her, and I was so like I didn't want her to keep lying to Ned, but at the same time I wanted her to because I didn't want her to lose her job, and I didn't want Ned to be disappointed. And I don't know, I think characters are something she does so well, and just
mm,
that really gradual ramping up of the story and the tension was just
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know. I really loved it, and I am surprised because even though I just barely finished it, like the more that I thought about this as I was reading it, the more I was like finding stuff to appreciate in it and
yeah,
enjoying it. And I
yeah,
think that if I had taken more time to just slowly read it or to read it physically, I think I would have liked it even more because I
yeah,
was listening to the audiobook
mhm,
pretty fast.
yeah,
But I did go back and reread the scene when some of the scenes that I really liked with Ned and
yeah,
like the knife scene with his sister too.
yeah,
When I don't know, it's just
yeah.
I loved it. I don't know. I it was painful and it was heavy,
Yeah,
but I loved it.
yeah. Well, I also think when we would get the glimpses of him and like he feels very like stunted, like what was done with him. And I liked when we got to see the reasoning, like, you know, because he very much spoke of his grandfather as this really like, I was like, wow, he must have hated his grandfather. And then we get the scene where he reveals how much respect he had, and he realizes that his grandfather had to be that way because there's people relying on him, and if his people are starving it's his fault, and if something breaks it's his fault. Should he open a mill so that people have work? That's great, they'd have that, but then what if they get hurt? Then that's my fault. So all of those things, he felt this weight. And then when you reflect back on how he was, it's a little more understandable, you know. And him being so like fixed on wanting Ned to live up to that as well, you know. But in doing so, he's cut himself off from his sister. Like that was so hard. Like the scene when he like hugs his sister. Oh, love that so much because he didn't know that he could like ask for that, you know, or that they could have that. So yeah, yeah,
I loved that too. I
mm-hmm.
really loved that. Like I
Yeah,
for a large portion of this book, the way they interacted with Ned and the way they treated him and Ned himself were really what was making it so enjoyable for me.
yeah,
Um, and I liked seeing that Gareth did that too because he was just so unlikable in so many ways,
mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the part that was the weakest for me in the first half is that she went so hard with him, but still
Yeah.
had Jenny be so attracted to him that
Yeah.
wasn't quite right. I wish we could have seen some like because it was clear they had this sexual attraction, and I saw where it would come from his side because she's beautiful. And that's what he cared about. But like, where was it from her side? Like
Hmm.
I just was just unclear. Like I wish we would have had a more clear moment of like when she starts feeling for him
Yeah.
because I understood why he was like, I'm going to break her and then I'm going to fuck her and then I'm going to get rid of her. Like, that's what his like plan is, whatever. But for her, she feels attracted to him before she's seen any of his like softer side. I don't know if it's just how he cares about Ned that's getting her there, but I think that's something I would critique for the first half is like, I saw what there was to love about him when she started seeing those things, but like, I didn't see it from her side.
That's such a good point, and I'm really glad that you mentioned that because I had kind of forgotten like that moment when he's with the teacher and he realizes how he feels about her and all that stuff. Like, I feel like that was so powerful for me that it made me kind of forget like how irritated I was about that. Like, I did not like that at all. So that yeah, that was largely also why it was 3-star for me too. But
yes, yeah.
In
Also,
the beginning.
I remember what I was going to bring up about the elephant. Something that I don't know if Justin's still watching. She was just going to say hi to us, so I don't know if she's still here. Something that she always brings up is that in contemporaries, specifically, when characters do grand gestures in front of people, she doesn't like that. And I mean, I never really like think about it when I'm seeing it happen, but then afterwards I'm like, wow, what if you just embarrass this person or whatever? And I have to say, like, I really loved that his grand gesture was so like private between them. Later on, there's his more, because obviously he marries her. That's a pretty bold gesture for everything. But he could have had there be a party and like claimed her in front of everyone and been like, this woman, I'm going to marry her and we're going to be great. But he does it in this like really quiet way where he's like, just come with me. And if you still want to leave, like, that's fine. Just come with me. And, you know, it happens in like a quiet place where he just lays it all out, you know? And I just love that he laid like all the things he was going to like keep, you know, where she'd be like, so what are you going to do with the other 22 hours of the day? I just have to wait, which is why I hate mistress tropes. I hate them. Which I'm like, yeah, are you just going to make her sit in this pretty house with the nice bed you gave her and the jewels you want to put on her, and she's just supposed to sit and wait for you, you know? And you say you're never going to marry someone, but, you know, what if Ned dies? And then you have to, you know, like, what am I going to be? And instead he literally, like, puts it all at her feet where he's like, all of this, I'm going to give it to you. And I just love that kind of gesture where he had been so reserved and he was just like, here's everything plus an elephant. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, it was...
as a balm for her loneliness.
It's really good.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good one. Poor Jenny.
I don't know. I'm still kind of like surprised that it turned around so much for me, because I was very much like almost the whole time I'm like, I see what she's doing here. I feel very mid about the whole thing, you know?
Right.
But then like towards the end, it started getting better. And so I was like, okay, 4 and 5. And yeah. So
yeah.
I it's an interesting reading experience. I am really glad that we picked this one.
Yeah.
I think this was a good choice, Jen.
Yeah. I completely agree. Well, especially I voice messaged you yesterday, maybe, and you were like, can't wait to talk about it. And I was like, that's her voice, that she's not loving it. And I was just trying to be like, oh, I'm really excited to talk about this. But
you did good. You didn't tell me a thing.
I know.
The only reason I even saw that you had rated it 5 stars is when I went to go and mark it as I had read it.
Yeah.
Which I probably need to not do from now on. But
well, I just was like, because I didn't love it until the last 20 pages, I was like, if she's loving it, that would be interesting. I really was, you know, I cried a couple times, but they were the angry tears I get.
Yeah.
I was not getting it. Like, oh, when the bed shows up, I was just punched in the gut. Oh, when the bed shows up and
that
like, ooh, she just, again, this reminded me so much of my reading experience for the Sherry Thomas, because there's those things that, and like, I know the hero kept being like, I don't know what to say. So what am I missing? Like, you got to tell me. And he would think it's something that he said. And she's like, it's just everything you're doing. Like, it's everything you're doing is exactly the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But I don't really expect you to do anything different because this is what I expect men to do. So you're not really disappointing me, but it still hurts that, and he puts the necklace on and she's like, this could save the rest of my life. Like this, but it's gonna choke me. Like this is the rest of my life, but I know what freedom is. I've been free and I had money and it was all gone because a man was pissed at me.
Yep.
See, Linda, and I was thinking there was 21 pages left and I was like, he cannot grovel enough for me. But for me it was because all the stuff she'd said was in there. And Courtney Milan doesn't do any of her books really that have drawn out HEAs for me. So I just was more like, there's no way he can grovel enough. But I don't know. For me, it was. What he said to Ned, when he was like, Ned, I will do anything. Tell me where she is. I was like, I don't know. Anyway.
I think that it's such a rare, for me, I think it's a very rare experience to have an author take you through so much almost despair and just like hurt and then be able to turn it around so well. And like for me it worked perfectly. I understand if not everybody is like that, but I love having that experience of just like feeling like this is just dark and bleak, and then all of a sudden he has that moment where he realizes and he sees the error of his ways. And I am not the type of reader that needs a huge grovel. I want to see that internal change, you know?
Yes.
And I feel like that's exactly what I got here. And so I was like, yep, because that's more powerful to me than a grovel. But the elephant was fun. I didn't need the elephant, but I liked the elephant.
I didn't need the elephant. That's the thing. I didn't need the elephant. Like, I also thought it would have been cute if he had bandages on his hands and he'd made another elephant. Like, if he'd made again. I didn't need the elephant. Or if he had been like, I'm going to take you to Africa, and like he shows her a drawing he's done and been like, I'm going to take you to see it. But an actual elephant that they're going to take home is kind of cool too, but I understand. Okay, two things. I was going to comment on what Stacey just said. I love this.
I did too.
Because I thought he was going to end up being someone's kid too. I was like, I'm going to have that be it. Because that's what was in the back of my mind a lot. Like, that I feel like that happens in Mistress Trope a lot too, that I've read, where, oh, surprise, she's half aristocracy, so now I'm allowed to marry you. And I'm like, no, that just fixed your problem. You didn't have to do anything, you know? The other thing I was going to point out, he does one other grovel thing though, right? When he gets the guy, he's going to send the guy to Australia. I forgot to mention that.
Yes, that's true.
Because Ned tells him about the money. And then he goes and he's like, you're going to Australia one way or the other. You can go nicely, or I can have you thrown there, but you're going. Because that's true. Like, yes.
Yes. Yep.
He actually did groveling to Ned. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I mean, here's the thing. He definitely still groveled to Jenny. He definitely still groveled to Jenny. Lexi, yes, this. Do you bring up Offer from a Gentleman and I can go off, and I won't, because some people love it. Some people love it.
I liked it.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant, where I was like, and it solved your problem. You didn't have to give anything.
Yeah.
This is this. Sure. He decided he'd be with her first, but no, you got your problem solved by her being that instant. Anyway, I don't like Benedict, but we know that. Love Sophie though. But yeah, I don't know. This book was a ride for me.
It really was. And it's a short little book. The audiobook was surprisingly long though.
See, it's not that short though.
That's true. It's just small though.
Yeah, it just has I said like it just has like thin pages. But it's 350, so it's technically.
Yeah, I was expecting the audiobook to be like 7 or 8 hours, and I saw it was 11, and I was like, oh shoot.
Technically the same length as this one. It's just thinner pages. But yeah, I thought the same thing. I thought the same thing, but I know Book Benedict can suck it.
Jessen, I know. I like it too.
I know, but I don't because he's a jerk face. But he's a jerk face in the same way that like he was being a jerk face.
Yeah.
It was worse because Benedict's family would have been fine with it, but we won't get
Benedict was easier to swallow though. He wasn't as
he's not a jerk in their like that stuff. He's just a jerk in like you don't have a choice. You're gonna be my mistress. That's what's gonna happen. Whereas like
that's right. I had forgotten this was a Harlequin. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know all of Courtney Milan's books are with Harlequin. It's kind of cool, except for the one. So,
well, some of them are self-published too.
That's what I mean. There's just and when her sold out, like they've been self-published now, but most all of her titles were originally Harlequin, which is kind of cool. That she's so good.
I think the reason it feels so long is because we are in the pit of despair for so long. I think that's one reason why. And
it was long. Like a 12, 13-hour audiobook for a historical, that's long because I don't know, I feel like a normal size one is like 8 to 10 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we had 2 long ones in a row because the Stephanie Lawrence was like
that sucker was so
and it was never ending. Like this one, there's a lot, but like I don't know, there was something happening every chapter. Usually painful, but something was happening.
I'm so happy that we both loved it, honestly.
Well,
like
me too. I was an artist, man. I mean, I did not know if
I'm sorry for some of you who didn't like it, but me and Jen loved it, so
we haven't like fully been on the same page, I think, in a little while. So
we haven't,
like,
this was, I know. We've always been like a little off, and sometimes, occasionally, very rarely, we've been like polar opposites. But
yeah. Well, also, I don't know. Also, some of the books have just been like middle of the road.
Yeah, we have, and I think that's I love the selection that we've had. I love that we're like, let's try this, let's try that, and you know, some books are just going to be like that. And I think this book is also evidence that not every book is for every reader, you know?
Yeah. Like, I mean, we've never done one that everyone feels the same.
Yeah, like even Indigo, which I think objectively is probably one of the best ones we've read, we still had a few people, Justin, who didn't like it that much.
Fair enough. It has a lot of filler history that's some people aren't there for that when they're reading historical romance. Like, I don't care about the actual history. I want it to be swooning all the time. But yeah, I don't know. It was a surprise, but also it was a surprise to me because it was her first book. And we just kind of were like, we want to do a Courtney Milan. Let's do her first one. We don't have any. It has an audiobook. Yay. Let's quickly switch to this. Jessen. That was also something like I was telling I did spoil a couple things for Jessen because I was sobbing when I finished it and I couldn't message you while I was crying.
I'd be so curious to know what you think of this one, Jessen. I really would be.
Yeah. So there was a couple things that I said to her where I was like, I just got to talk about this. And I know you'll probably want to read it sometime, but I have to cry. So I was crying for it.
Stacey, I totally agree. I love going into books blind. I think that's so fun. All right, Jen, I know you've got, I always forget to bring the next book down.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. We're going to be doing Surrender by Amanda Quick. This will be my first Amanda Quick.
I am excited.
Yeah, and we're going to have a special guest next month.
That's right. I'm very excited about that. Yeah. Yes.
He's not here. I wanted to announce this when he was here, but Justin's going to be on book club with us next month, so that'll be fun. Yeah. And we're excited to do this one.
Justin got me to read my first Amanda Quick, which I only read this year, like a few months ago. So.
Yeah. I hope this one is really good. I've seen ups and downs for certain ones, but she has so many books. Some of them got to be good. Some people got to love them. Yeah.
Jane Ann Krentz. We know this, Margaret. Jane Ann Krentz. Yep.
Who has there's a couple pen names, isn't there? There's another one too, right?
Jane Castle too. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, I know there's multiples.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm excited for this. We got a good
Yeah,
one.
you missed it, Alana. We're wrapping up.
Yeah,
I know there's been a lot of reading sprints happening. I wasn't on, but I checked in to somebody's
Yeah.
was it McKay's? I think it's on McKay's.
I mean, there's pretty much one every day of the week, which is
That's true.
fantastic. But
Yeah. Second
also,
Amanda Quick for Jessen.
also, since we've
Lexi.
moved to Wednesdays, we've kind of messed with the vibe of
I know.
what clips are. But that's okay. I like it when you it doesn't matter to me which night. Like, it honestly doesn't matter to me which night. But.
I do feel like I've done kind of a terrible job at keeping them regular.
There's still always the third week of the month, and
yeah, that's true. Which hopefully gives you guys enough time to read it. I mean, you know, I read that in a day, so
we used to do it the second week, and I think it's been better since having it as the third.
Yeah,
but yeah,
what is this one about? I don't even remember. It's gotta be something bonkers.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll read it. I haven't even read what this one is about either. So this one says, at 24, Victoria Huntington thought herself quite adept at fending off fortune hunters until she came under siege from Lucas Colebrook, the darkly disturbing new Earl of Stonevale. Amidst the brightly plumed birds of the time, Lucas was a hawk. Oh boy. And when he held out the lure of moonlit rides and wild, reckless midnight escapades, Victoria found herself powerless to resist. But becoming Stonevale's companion in adventure was a far more dangerous undertaking than Victoria could ever imagine, for the attractive Earl would use her every weakness to woo her, to win her, and to ultimately wed her. Okay. And soon the amber-eyed lady would find herself ensconced in a crumbling mansion deep in the English countryside, where the real reason for her hasty marriage becomes too apparent, and where the ghosts of her dark-stained past are waiting to rise up in a terrifying plot that will threaten her life, her honor, and the only man she could ever love. Oh boy.
It's
that sounds crazy.
Yep. I think it's gonna be an experience. I think I think you really have to go into her books with an open mind for it to be a little retro, like, you know.
So we gotta expect the craziness. Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
What a synopsis! That's how of all of the ones of hers, at least in that like era when they were written, they all. I mean, like that.
It's good to know which tone to be expecting.
Yeah.
Because like if you're expecting the tone to be kind of like a farce, then you can just have fun.
Yeah.
You know, I expected this to be kind of sad because all her books have been kind of sad, except the newest one, which she hasn't written anymore.
I know. And I'm so like, sad. I
want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because like, I feel like she's going to one of the book signings. I think I like saw her post about that.
Is she?
I might have to check. I thought that I saw that she was, and I was like, girl, what are you writing next? But I'm excited about it.
We should make sure and have the next Scarlett Beckham in our book club. I'm sorry, I'm talking out loud to you among our other readers. That doesn't come out till next year, but I want to for sure do that one.
We will.
We've got it figured out through December, and then we gotta plan some more.
That's right. We got a good rest of the year, though. I'm excited.
We do. I'm excited.
Now that we have our beautiful books to read. We have our beautiful book to read.
Yes!
And I have another one coming this week. I'm so excited.
So that one is Sea of Ruin is November and October. I'm actually really excited for all of the books we have this year. Probably the one I'm least excited about is Amanda Quick because I've read her before. But that was my choice. I wanted to pick Amanda Quick, so if nobody likes it, y'all can blame me.
Yeah.
But
no, I'm just kidding. I think it'll be fun. It'll be a good change up. Oh yeah, because then we have Jeannie Lynn and we have Kat Martin. Good stuff. I still need to read a Cat Martin. I just bought a bunch more of her books this weekend.
I haven't read her either, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, she always shows up in my Upturned Petticoats one that they're all supposed to be like really spicy and like bonkers one. And they were from like, a lot of hers are from like the 90s too.
Yeah.
They just all have like the new covers, so I thought they were newer books. But when I add them into my library, they're like, no, this is from 1993. I'm like, all right.
Yep.
So we'll see.
I did see that. I still haven't read Catherine Cowles yet. She is an author I want to read. She's contemporary.
Yeah, I mean, I did see it was her. I have no attachment to her as of yet. So.
Yeah. Lots of us haven't read Cat Martin. That's exciting. I'm really, really curious about them. I haven't read Jenny Lynn either, so those are two.
And I think because...
Is it Jenny or Jeannie? Did I say it wrong?
I think it's Jeannie. Sorry. I think it's Jeannie.
You're right. It is Jeannie. Yeah.
When I listened to her interview. I think because like Cat Martin writes like Westerns and contemporary now. Like she hasn't written historical in a while. Because hers were like, whenever I see her in Barnes & Noble, she has like Westerns and like, I think maybe she even has some crime ones or something. So.
Yeah.
Supposed to read CC. Oh,
Catherine Cowles. She just sent me an ARC for her September book because it has chronic pain, and she asked if I wanted one. So I'm really excited about that. I haven't gotten it yet. Well, she sent me the email. I haven't gotten the ARC yet.
I grabbed the first one when it was free the other day.
I did. I got that one too. Yeah.
So we'll see when I have time, though, guys. Like I still have ARCs, and then I need to do all my patron books. But I want to read hers, and I want to read some more Devney Perry too. But Catherine Cowles for sure, because the type of books it looks like hers, they're like a small town, right? Oh,
that's all I know, really.
That's the other one. Elsie Silver and Catherine Cowles, because I love small town romance. I love it. So
I do too.
I think I will like both of those, but.
I mean, the good thing about Catherine's books is that almost all of them are on audio, whereas Elsie's aren't yet, which is a bummer for people like who love audiobooks.
Well, with all the attention she's getting, they should be able to be on there soon. The more people that read it, the more it will get on there. But I was going to answer, Chris, we are excited to do The Wolf and the Dove too, but it's going to be next year sometime because it was supposed to be this month. But the audiobooks got pushed to 2023, so we're probably going to wait to schedule that until it's actually
out.
You know, so it might end up being even like later next year, unfortunately, because that book is just a little too fat and a little too old to not have audiobooks for, or people won't get through it.
Yeah, it's I feel like Jen and I, we have to have an audiobook available. In order to do the show, we just have to. Like, it was, I just cleaned out my parents' old house and I found it was a 5th printing of The Wolf and the Dove, and it's not in good shape, but like it was just shoved in a cupboard, and it had I don't know if it was my mom's or my grandma's. My grandma used to live with us, had a bookmark shoved in there, and I was like, oh my gosh, like hitting all in the feels. Like I was like, it's just so weird. It was such a crazy, beautiful moment to think that I'm reading these books that my mom and when they were probably my age going around the house reading. I don't know. So I am very, very much looking forward to that one. I don't believe that they are.
They won't
Linda.
Be. They won't be.
They're not abridged.
The few of hers that exist now are abridged versions. Like we found one of her because we were like, well, maybe we can do a different one of hers, and it was only 2 hours long. And I was like, how the F do you fit a 700-page book in 2 hours? You don't.
You don't.
The ones that are going to be done, I don't think they will. Will they have changed some words? We don't know. You know, like that happened with LK's books that were redone. But
I mean, if they say that they're abridged at all, like obviously we'll read the physical copy if we decide to do it. We're not going to do the abridged version of The Wolf and the Dove. We want the real stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still have not read Wood-A-Wisp, so I need to get on that.
If we have to, we'll still do it without an audio. We just
Yeah.
right now, like, it would be next year when we are
Yeah.
like, and we'll do it the last week of the month if everyone has to read it.
Yes, that's a good idea. That's what we'll do. We'll definitely do it.
Yeah.
If the audiobook is abridged in some way, we'll just plan it for the last week of the month so
Yeah.
we make sure we have
Yeah.
time.
And then like people can still listen to the abridged if they don't mind if it's missing, but those
Yeah.
of us, if we want to read every word, we can. Because usually when they abridge, I mean, if they're doing, you know, if they're not doing the synopsis like that 2 hour long one is,
Yeah.
they don't cut out huge swathes of it. So if someone is like, I'm just going to do the abridged, I'm sure we'll have most of it.
But even current audiobooks that aren't like that old, they still change a few word choices occasionally, you know.
Yeah, it does happen, but yeah.
Monica's read every single Devney Perry. That's impressive. I have not tried her Will and Nash books. I really want to.
Yeah, that's cool. I love when I've read all of an author's books.
I do too. I have been going to film, and I'm going to. You guys can push me if you want me to. My Sarah McLean video, because I've read every single one of her books and I need to do it. But like when I did the Lisa Kleypas Wallflower and Ravenels, I had misspoke about a character, and I still get comments on that video. People are like, "You're wrong," and I'm like, I know I'm wrong. It's just hard to keep all that information when you're talking about an author's entire backlist, you know, for me anyway.
Oh, and people gotta call you on that stuff.
They do. Yeah.
That happens in some of my Outlander videos that are like an hour and a half long, and I'm like, you know what? I know the stuff. I'm sorry I called the person Willie instead of this. Like, okay, I know the stuff.
It's honestly like, I feel like I've gotten so much better about keeping my thoughts when I'm on camera, but like especially in the beginning, it's so hard when you're like facing the camera to like speak.
Yeah.
you
right.
know.
Right. Well,
and that's not something I would know if I didn't do it. Like, I wouldn't even occur to me.
Right. Well, and like when, I don't know, people always comment on the fact that I don't look at the camera. Not always anymore, but like part of the reason like I look to a place is like, you know, we like store memories in different places.
Yeah.
Like that's why people look away. So I do raw footage for my videos, and when I'm talking, I will like look this way and I'm remembering something. And people want to be like, can't you look me in the eye? And I'm like, no, because I'm not making my videos for you. Like, stop it.
I know.
How weird are you that you want me to stare into your eyes while I'm filming? Which is weird for me because I have to stare at an eye instead of you. Like, no, I don't want that. Anyway, the people who love me don't care, obviously, because I had more of those critiques when I had like 2,000 followers, and now that I have 15, I'm like, literally, goodbye. I don't care. But anyway.
I'm kind of terrible about commenting lately on videos. Even when I'm watching friends' videos, I watch all of Jen's videos and Jessen's videos, and I don't comment.
She's a ghost.
I'm sorry. But
no, it's okay. Well, I understand because I have YouTube Premium, so I can watch videos without watching them. So there's lots of videos where I put everybody's videos on a playlist and then I'm doing stuff. But or I watch people on my TV while I'm doing work, and then I don't have their videos up. But I try to say hi or leave an emoji, stare into our souls. Stacy, you're funny. But.
Yeah, this is Jessen. Somebody commented on one of Jessen's videos, and I believe this is right, that Will and Nash is the books by Devney Perry that are not on KU. Or is it the opposite?
They're on KU. Yep.
Okay, yeah. Will and Nash are the books that are on KU. Devney Perry are the books that are not. Yes. But Jessen said that there's really not a stylistic difference between the two. So that's the only thing that we know of that makes them different. So eye contact. Yeah, right. I most people are uncomfortable with direct eye contact for a long time. Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, well, sorry if this was mixed, but they're always going to be mixed, and I really enjoyed this.
I did too. And I honestly, I enjoy the comments. I really love hearing everybody who's read it, their opinions and everything. So if you didn't like it, I want to hear about it. I hope you feel like we gave your comment enough time, because that's the whole point of the book club, is to talk about it, and I want everybody's comments to be heard. So
Saw this. Oh, that's so cool.
That's way cool.
Graham McTavish. Like, okay, sorry, side note. So that he plays like a guy who's like dead on the show now, by the way. You know. But I would actually rather meet him in real life than Sam Heughan, because Sam Heughan I would not be able to speak. I would just be like, hi. But Graham McTavish is just like so warm and fun that I would be like, I could actually maybe say hi to him and like have a beer with him or something. Whereas like Sam, I would just be like, I can't talk to you. Goodbye. You're on a poster on my wall. Hi.
Well, thanks so much, everybody, for coming. This was a fun live. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for reading it with us, even if you didn't like it. It was a ton of fun. We love you all, and we will see you next month for Amanda Quick. Thanks, everybody.